Okay, in this little experiment, we're going to compare taking a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11 inches, folding it landscape in a circle to create a cylinder, and then folding it the other way to create a taller cylinder. And so I'm going to select the geometry mode, and I'm going over and selecting circle with center and radius. And the first radius is going to be what happens when you have a circumference of 11. 2 pi r is the formula for circumference. So to undo that, I'm going to take the circumference, which is 11, divided by, and I have to put this in parentheses, 2 times pi. And you can just type pi in for pi. And there's my first circle. Now that circle has a circumference of 11, and we left the GeoGebra calculate what the radius was. All right, now I need to have one with a circumference of 8.5, so I'm going to take 8.5 divided by 2 pi, so I'm going to put the 2 pi in parentheses. All right, now we could, measure that distance and figure out what it is, but we're looking at the volume of these two as they basically the one with the circumference of 11 has a height of 8.5, and the one with a circumference of 8.5 has a height of 11. So that's a 3D object. So I'm going up to the three lines in the upper right. I'm going down to View, and I'm going to add a 3D graphics view. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is select, because I'm in the 3D mode, the pyramid, prism, extrude, cone, cylinder type mode, and I'm going to select extrude to prism or cylinder. Alright, my instructions are to pick a polygon and then pick the altitude. So if I pick the larger polygon, it's asking me for the altitude. Well, if the circumference was 11, that means the altitude is 8.5. Okay, and now I'm going to repeat that with the other one, and this has a circumference of 8.5, so the altitude would be the 11. And what happened is I have to undo that step and go back and redo because it's not picking up the correct circle. Alright, so going back to extrude to prism, I'm selecting the first one. That was the circumference of 11, and I'm going to make the altitude 8.5. Alright, now just so that it doesn't happen again, I'm going to select a different tool. I'm actually going to go back to the 2D mode and select a different circle. And now I'm going to come back into 3D mode. All right, try that again. Extrude to cylinder. And okay, now that I saw that got highlighted, I'm now going to, that was the circumference 8.5. I'm now going to pick the altitude as 11. All right, so I'm going to just kind of rotate these around so we can visualize what happened. We have two circles. One of them has a circumference of 11 and a height of 8.5. The other one has a circumference of 8.5 and a height of 11. And what's nice here, we can actually just ask for the volume of these guys. So I go up to the tool and come down to volume, click on the first cylinder. It gives me a volume of 81.85. And I click on the second cylinder and it gives me a volume of 63. So a lot of people visually might go for the taller one or say that they're both equal, and this shows us, without doing the computations by hand, it showed us that the shorter one with a circumference of 11 and a height of 8.5 actually has more volume. Alright, to add one more measurement, I'm going over to the circles again, and this time I'm going to measure the area of the circles. Alright, so the area of the larger circle is 9.63. The area of the smaller circle is 5.75. I'm now going to add a point on each of the circles. And now I'm going to add a segment on each of the circles from that point to the center, from the point on the circle to the center. And now I'm going back to my measurement tool, and I'm just going to measure the distance so that we have the distance of each one of those. And just try to move the, so it's clear to see. So it looks like I have a radius of 1.75 in the larger circle and about 1.35 in the smaller circle. Remembering that all of these numbers are rounded.